everybody to the 2024 Honda Accord. I know you've heard me say this and I've already done a review of the Accord, but as we have it, we always do fancy versions, top of the line, fully loaded versions of the cars. Here we have the base model of the Accord, also called as the Accord EX. It's the base model, the cheapest model on the whole lineup. There are only two variants in the lineup, so but still, for a change, let's explore how this entry-level version of the Accord is, and maybe if you should have this over the top of the line Civic. Let's talk about the Accord EX, the car in question. This is the base model of the lineup. I know it sounds very funny that this is the base Accord, and normally we shoot top of the line variants with all the fancy gizmos and stuff, but for a change, a base model is very nice. One thing you can tell the difference between this and the top model, the Touring Hybrid, there are only two variants, so EX and Touring Hybrid, but the changes are basically the wheels. So you can see that this has some gunmetal grey 17-inch alloys. The Touring Hybrid had 20 or 21 inch, but they looked really good and they looked the part. Definitely they uplift the whole presence of the car. But if I would say this on a day-to-day practical usage wise, these wheels, I think they ride much better, they absorb the bumps much better. You can see the side wall is much more thicker. But again, yeah, rest of the thing, it just looks like an Accord. So you'll have to be really keen eye to tell the difference between the EX and the Touring. It's got the same sleek headlights, the grille. It looks very much like an Accord. I really like the way the whole design theme is placed all around the car, the front, the side, the rear. It's very well proportioned, very nice, proper sedan silhouette, which I personally like. I have a soft spot for sedans compared to crossover hatches, and this is quite essential, the sedan design. Also, differences on the EX is that you would not have gloss black elements on the front bottom part of the bumper or the side skirts. This is all matte. It's more rugged, more usable on a daily basis. Once you get it dirty, and even for rock chips, this will deal with it better. On the rear, the only difference is perhaps the badges. So this has only Accord. The Touring has Touring and Hybrid. So since, again, that is only available with the Hybrid, this is only available with the 1.5 turbo. So this produces 192 horsepower front-wheel drive CVT. That was the 2-liter NA with the hybrid motors producing 210 horsepower. But again, the changes are significant only mechanically wise. Visually, you can hardly tell the difference. I'm now inside the Accord. As you can see, it's a very traditional Honda family look. But if you've been in other Hondas, you would definitely be right at home here. The major differences between the Touring Hybrid and this base Accord EX is in the inside. I would say not as much mechanically, because this still drives just as well, and not with space as well, because it's very spacious up front and incredibly spacious in the back. The major differences are the feel, though there is very less for luxury feel inside here. All the gloss black on the center console and everything has been replaced by this scratchy, hard plastic, which I'm not a big fan of. But I guess it makes sense because they have to differentiate the top of the line and the base model, right? You have two USB-Cs and no wireless charging, so this just becomes a very, very big storage area. You can put your phones, you have two cup holders, you have some buttons for the parking brake and stuff, and then you have the PRNDSL because this is the CVT. You do not have paddle shifters, and then you'll also notice that this steering is not leather wrapped. I'm seeing a non-leather wrapped steering after a very, very long time. The same plastic carries on to the doors as well, and otherwise the fit and finish is really good. Honestly, it doesn't feel cheap, but at the same time, for the price this car is sold at, you do expect a bit more luxury inside here. For instance, the top of the line Hybrid has the fabulous, beautiful 12-inch screen. This has the super small 5-inch screen, which I don't like. The same problem I had with the CR-V Sport. Honda does have the 9-inch screen as well, which is a great screen. It has great resolution. The touch is good. They could have used that for the lower variant, especially for the Accord, since it's one of their flagship cars. But no, for the base model, they went for the even lower screen. It's touch, it's got CarPlay, only wired, but the resolution is really not the best. And you can see there's a lot of, the bezels are very, very thick. So the screen itself is very small in between. You've got physical buttons for volumes and track and everything, but it doesn't feel quite at home at this price point. And the same problem I had with the CRV Sport as well. The dials are very nice. It's got the digital cluster, which is similar to what the Civic has. Not again the usual what the Accord Touring has, because that has a much bigger screen and much more elaborate with details and colors and everything. Again, this is still not bad though. I still like it. At least it's better than the part digital, part analog that the CRV, the HRV have. I'm glad they didn't go to that level of cost cutting. You do have the same vent design on the center console, which I really like, and you still have the nice gloss black. So this is blacked out in this. On the top of the line touring variants, it's chrome finish, but this black actually looks pretty good as well, and the knobs still feel very tactile, very nice. One major omission I find in the base model is that there is no heated steering. Earlier this week, I was driving this car and temperatures were at -4, -5, and I took my car out for the first day of the day, and it was cold. Like, I was struggling to hold the steering properly because that's how cold it was. This car does not also have leather seats, but because of the cold, leather becomes a bit colder. These fabric seats were actually a boon in the winter. So I wish there was a combination of having heated steering, but these fabric seats, it would have been much more comfortable. The seats themselves are very nice, very good bolstering. You've got lumbar support. It's electrically controlled for the driver, so it's very comfortable. No memory seats though, but okay, you can't have everything in the base model. I mean, Honda has done some nitpicking with the features. They could have included a bit more considering this is the base model, but still, for day-to-day livability, it has all the bare basic needs that you would require from a car. Now behind the wheel of the Accord EX. So let's get the numbers out of the way. I've already mentioned this. This has the famed 1.5 turbo engine, produces 192 horsepower. Only front wheel drive, like all Hondas are. I wish they gave all wheel drive in the Accord. It would make it much more desirable, especially for the Canadian winters. This has a CVT gearbox, so no paddle shifts, no nothing. Even though the Civic has paddle shift and it's the CVT as well. So I don't know why this doesn't have. Maybe it's just a base model thing. But yeah, otherwise it drives really well. Low end torque is really, really good. You really don't have to floor it at any given time to make any sort of progress in bumper to bumper traffic. And I'm on a very bumpy stretch, and as you can see, it's taking it all like a champ. The suspension is really good, and I'd like to perhaps attribute that to the higher profile tires that this car has compared to the Touring Hybrid, which has super low profile 20 or 21 inch wheels. It rides so well, and it's a great cruiser. It cruises at triple digit speeds so comfortably all day, just cruising on the highway. Especially you have the Honda sensing, so you do have the adaptive cruise, the lane keep and everything. It's very, very effortless, very, very easy to drive. But even the Civic is a very great cruiser. This is just much more spacious, and it feels a bit more sure-footed and much more planted on the roads compared to the Civic, that's for sure. It just feels very nice. The steering feel is just appropriate. I mean, this is no sports sedan, but it still feels very, very nice in the corners, and you can just drive this all day, throughout the week, throughout your work, everything. This car can just do it all. If you need one car for everything, this might just be perfect. The fuel efficiency is also pretty good, so when you're cruising on the highway, you can easily get 6.2 to 6.5 liters per 100, which is actually very, very commendable for a car of this size. And if I might say, not too far off compared to the top of the line hybrid variant, because let's be honest, hybrid systems work much better in city limits. So on the highway, the efficiency isn't far off compared to the hybrid in this car. In city, I'm been getting about 8.5 to 9 liters per 100, but again, that was very, very bad traffic and very much in stop-start traffic. But it's very easy, very comfortable, and you can just amble along either on traffic, on highway with this car with utmost ease. And I think that's what Honda set out to do with the Accord, and this car is a good example of what they have achieved over time with evolution compared to the previous generations of the Accord. It's such a nice car to drive. In conclusion then, the 2024 Honda Accord EX. Well, the Accord has lots of things going for it. It's extremely spacious. It's got basic necessary kit that you would need on a day-to-day basis, like Apple CarPlay and the Honda Sensing adaptive cruise control. The boot is extremely spacious, and with this 1.5 turbo, it's really not slow. You might think that this car might be lethargic with that engine because the same engine with the Civic and the CRV feel decently peppy, and this is the biggest of the lot. But yet, it still drives really well and is still very efficient. The driving dynamics, the steering feel is still very, very good. Now, you have to ask the question, base Accord EX or top end Civic Touring? Honestly, the price difference is just $500 or $600 before taxes. This is $37,000, that is $37,500. It all comes down to what you need. Do you need this big of a car? Because let's be honest, the Civic itself is a very, very capable machine and not too much smaller compared to this car. Honestly, the Civic does it all. But for some people, the Accord is more of an aspirational buy than something they would actually need. And if you are one of those who need the size, who need the Accord brand name parked in their driveway, then look no elsewhere. The Accord is the answer for you. The Touring hybrid is very, very expensive at I think 45 or $46,000 Canadian. This at 37 is way much more value for money. You still get all Accord USPs with space and looks and just the whole design. But just skimping out on some features makes this car much, much more affordable.